All right, thank you so much for joining us. Today's been a fun day of our virtual safety day. We've had 3 outstanding sessions earlier today. Hopefully you were able to join in on those. If you weren't, you should be able to see some emails or see some information on YouTube recapping what we've already gone through. What we're going to do now is our final session. This is going to be a great conversation between Jason Crow, Keith and Melina, and myself, and we'll handle introductions here in just a moment. If you haven't used GoToWebinar, real quick, that orange arrow is the magic button. If your interface disappears on you, click that orange button, it'll come back. Below that orange button, you'll see an option to ask questions. I know it says questions, use it for anything. If you want to tell Jason his hair looks good, or if you want to let us know if any feedback, go ahead and let us know. That way we can see that and we'll tackle that. This is going to be very conversational. You're almost jumping in one of our podcast recordings, if you will. This is going to be an opportunity for us to have a conversation, discuss what we're doing in damage prevention within our job roles and in our areas of expertise. So I'm looking forward to this conversation. I knew it was going to be interesting to save this for last, but I do think it's going to be one of our better conversations to go forward with. So again, use that question opportunity, throw those at us. We'll be able to answer those, and then stick around because towards the end of this presentation, we are going to have a drawing for a $25 gift card to Amazon. So we appreciate you sticking around for that. So before we dive into conversation, let's just go around and do brief introductions. So we'll start with ladies first, of course. Keitha, do you mind telling us a little bit about you? So for those who don't know you yet, they should.
Well, I hope I get to know everyone that's on here. In fact, I do know a few folks on here, so thank you for having me. My name is Keitha Molina. I'm the Senior Damage Prevention Manager for Texas 811. Yes, I said Texas. I'm in the state next door, but MG and Okie 811, we work together very well and very often. So we have members that have lines in both states. So we are all about working together and sharing ideas and helping our members. But I also am the Vice President of Damage Prevention Council of Texas, and we might get into that in just a little while. Also, yeah, I do a lot of work. The President of Leading Women of Damage Prevention. If you're not sure what that is, I see several ladies here, and this is also for the gentlemen that are in the group. There is a group that we have that will help and support any women and all those men that support women, and we'll talk about that later on. But thanks for having me.
I'm so glad you're here. Jason, go ahead and let us know a little bit about yourself.
Oh, good afternoon, MG. Keith, it's so good to see you both again. My name is Jason Crow. I have been in the oil and gas industry for, oh my goodness, better part of 25 years. My last 15 years focused on damage prevention and asset integrity management with line locating equipment, working for Green Equipment Company. I'm a regional manager for them, and I cover both the states of Oklahoma and Arkansas, or unless on special occasions, I get to see good people like Keith when I'm in Texas. So what I do for a living is I sell the equipment and teach people how to use it. But a lot of what I do in helping serve industry and damage prevention is participating in different industry boards, such as the Oklahoma Gas Association, which I've been a board member for 10 years now. I've been sitting as the chair of that organization for the last 5. So where I fit in this puzzle is providing equipment training and education, specifically on line locating in the industry. So.
Yeah, and we appreciate your knowledge that you're bringing. A little bit about myself, and then we'll talk about how we collaborate and go from there. But I'm MG Govia. I'm the education and outreach liaison for Okie 811. I always save myself for last because mine is like the quick and easy story. We got presidents of organizations, we got board members, and then there's me. I got in this role about 3 years ago. I started with Okie 811 as a contact center rep, processing locate requests, and through opportunities and using my skill set, I got into this position a few years ago, and best decision I've ever made is coming over to Okie 811. I learned a lot about the damage prevention industry and just within this role really developed a passion for what we do. And what this leads into is because I don't have the decades of knowledge and experience like my two counterparts here, I have really embraced collaborating, and I really embrace learning from those who know more than me. And Keith has been an amazing resource. Jason's been an amazing resource to be able to get to the point where I can get out in front of people and share information on damage prevention and safe excavation to keep people safe so they can come back and do their job the next day. So that's kind of where we're going to lead into. And one gift that Jason Crow has is a great voice and very good moderating ability. So Jason, from here on out, I'm going to kind of turn this over to you, kind of lead the conversation and help us out. But the first topic is how we do collaborate, and this is a great example.
Absolutely. I think, in industry and personally, you can't be all things to all people. And it's great to have the right people around you to lean to their strengths and help maximize yours to help them. So, with this conversation of how do we collaborate, leaning to your brother Jason to help be a moderator in a webinar might be one way, but I know much deeper in what we deal with in damage prevention and helping serve others in industry through public awareness or equipment or what have you. There's other ways we collaborate. So I know of a recent collaboration of a Okie Safety Day, wasn't it? In Durant might have been one where there was a partnership between Texas and Oklahoma. But what are some other ways, Keitha, that you guys have collaborated in the past, maybe with my counterparts in green equipment in Texas?
Well, as I said, we are bordering states. We share many members. Pipelines don't respect state lines, so pipelines go all the way across. All utilities go across state lines. There's no respect there. But we, however, as the individuals that are hired to take care of that infrastructure, we have to find different ways to communicate with our members and with our, their subcontractors. So we find different ways. We do collaborate and do webinars such as this. We've had training sessions where it's Texas and it's Oklahoma, and we talk about Opal and the Railroad Commission and how those work. And once you cross that state line, laws change. And so we make that very clear. And we establish that with all of our members that are crossing these lines and are doing any work. But we've done webinars, we've done training sessions, safety days. We're continuing. We're talking beer, and nobody gets shocked. Yes, we said beer. And, that's something that MG might talk about here in just a little while, but we've even talked beer, collaborate in beer. So different ways. MG, what can you add to that?
Yeah, definitely. So if you aren't already subscribed to our podcast or go to our YouTube channel, Keith and I just did a podcast that was published today, even, and so that's one way that I love to collaborate. Because, like I said, I'm getting to be more and more confident with the knowledge that I'm gaining from everybody in the industry. But our podcast, our YouTube channel, our website, we're doing a lot to get that information out in front of people. We have also recently put in information on our website where maybe English is a second language. So we have a Spanish page to help with those, understand the process and stuff like that. So we try to do a lot with our partnerships outside of just the three of us. I mean, I work with various VOTEC centers, training safety trainers who may reach out to me and go, hey, can I get some curriculum to help out with this particular training? So I help in those regards as well. One way that we work is there's a gentleman named Jay Stevens with Damage Prevention Academy. He unfortunately wasn't able to attend the meeting today, but he is also someone that we work with. He has provided our online A11 certification for both Texas and Oklahoma. And I know he's working with Kansas currently and some other states as well to help out with getting that information out to the excavators or anybody who owns a shovel. It helps with the members understanding their responsibilities. It helps those subcontractors. It can even help homeowners who maybe just brand new to the whole idea of calling in a locate request or putting in a locate request. So those are some things that we within the industry, nobody can, like Jason said, nobody can be a one-stop shop for everything. We have to be able to reach out, work with organizations like Opal or Paradigm or other OGA, or which is Oklahoma Gas Association, or rural water associations and things like that. We're always looking for ways to get in front of people through collaboration.
I think that's really the key. The common note here is the sharing of information, right? With what we do for a living, manage damage prevention. We're trying our best to keep people safe, right? And whether you're in Texas or in Oklahoma, we all have areas of expertise. We're subject matter experts, as we are. MG doesn't give himself enough credit. He's been doing this long enough, and there's pieces of the puzzle that we all play a role in. I may be more focused on the equipment side of things, but when it comes to the laws and this sort, we deal with a lot of contractors and companies that have assets on both sides of the state line, or contractors that work on multiple states, and stressing the importance that they reach out to the Keithas of wherever they're working to make sure they understand those different law changes. And the MGs, especially with Oklahoma having some recent law changes just back in November, was it this last year?
Yeah.
And making sure that people understand that, because you can really not just put yourself in a physically dangerous position, but also a financially dangerous position if you don't do your homework and ask the right questions. And a lot of times people just don't know who to ask. And that's why I feel that collaboration is so important. So I may not be the person, but I may know the person that we can point you in the right direction, or MG or Keith or what have you. So there's a multitude of ways. I know MG and I have talked about doing shared trainings in the past. I know my brothers at Green Equipment participate heavily in the Texas 811 training and the sort to help bring their areas of expertise to serve industry. So many different ways to collaborate, participation in different podcasts across the industry. I know MG, I've been on yours a couple of times, and once Keith and I start our own podcast, we'll be sure to connect on those too.
Yeah. Well, I know y'all take off. Yeah, y'all would have a great one. I love having conversations with you.
Talking about beer. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. I'm sorry to interrupt. I wanted to segue into this a great question that Doug asked. Keith, one thing that when we talk damage prevention and we're talking about, hey, Texas laws and Oklahoma laws are going to be different because of different reasons. Our law got created in 1979. I think yours was around the same time, if not like 1 year later, maybe.
Yes, around the same time.
Yeah. And so those laws individually are left to the state level to create. And so the question that was asked is, will there be a time when damage prevention rules is going to be universal throughout the United States? And I think it's an interesting topic to talk about. I've seen a lot of different perspectives thrown out at me, and I wanted to get your take real quick, Keitha, and then I'll add to it if you would like.
Sure. I mean, do I see that happening? I don't know. In my lifetime, and I'm kind of old, I don't know. I mean, I'm just going to leave that as I don't know. But I do know that because my background is in safety, and it is about the person, protecting the body, protecting the worker, I'm always going to advocate for safe digging practices. Always, always, always. There is a way to dig. There is a way to excavate. There's a safe way to do it. And you've got to make sure that you have checked off all of those things and done all of these things in order before you excavate. So do I think they're going to change? I don't know. I don't know. I've heard different things that maybe it should be universal. But even in Texas, on my team, there are 5 members, and we have different regions. And even in the state of Texas, our regions are different. And what's important and what should be done first. So I think it's a matter of just educating them about calling 811, doing things safely so that everyone goes home the way they came to work. So
right. Yeah, here in Oklahoma, things are very, very similar. someone throughout the compliment that Oklahoma and Texas are definitely the ones who are leading the way when it comes to having standards. So for these universal rules, so I appreciate that acknowledgement. I know that over the last couple of years, Oklahoma's law has been going through some updates and trying to get the communication better. With positive response, it's now mandatory. Some law changes that reduce fraudulent or excessive locate requests, things like that. So I think our laws are improving. I just don't know if it'll ever become federally mandated because there's only so many utilities that would have that impact, like through PHMSA or something like that. So because of that, I'm looking at those small rural water or those municipalities that participate and the different resources that they would have to get to that same level as our big players. And so I think that throughout the lifetime thing, it probably won't happen in my lifetime. I'm older than Keitha. Don't let her tell you otherwise. And I don't think it would. But I do know that what our Common Ground Alliance and our understanding is these best practices to say, you know what, regardless of the specific laws of within your state, we can all understand the best practice for excavation. We can all understand the best practice for processing a locate request, what information is needing and what information to provide in communication to keep everybody safe. So I love this conversation. I think contractors or excavating companies who do work in multiple states, they are doing something that's really smart. Well, I say they, I assume most are, is simply saying, what is the largest tolerance zone? What is the maximum of this rule? And then they'd say, okay, well, that's the rule for all 3 states. We're not going to worry about one state that says their tolerance zone is 18 inches and another state that says 24. We're just going to assume everything's 24 so that we never have to be less than the maximum. So there are some things that, even though there may not be any universal standard, there's some best practices that are coming out even on a local contractor side. So great questions.
That is, I think you're right on. MG is setting that standard of best practices, no matter where you're working. Whether I'm at Keith's house and she wants you to make sure you take your shoes off at the door, or MG's where he doesn't care. I mean, it's a respect thing, and in our case, a safety thing. So, and one of the things I truly enjoy about our conversations is our passion for safety, in this industry, and our passions for helping others here within the realm of damage prevention. And although we have various roles of doing so, if we took a moment and were to ask, what is it? Why are you so passionate about what you do? Why do you do what you do? Keitha, why do you feel so strongly about what you do?
So I shock people. I'm glad you asked that question. I shock people when I tell them that I have been with Texas 811 4 years. I had my anniversary in April. 4 whole years. But I've been in the industry about 26 years. So I do come from safety. And ask me who I worked for. I worked for an excavator contractor. So when I'm out doing outreach, when I'm doing my training, I remind them, hey, wait a minute. I come from your world, totally understand. I've been here. I've done all of these things. However, let's do this. The problem or the issues that I run into, and I think MG has run into this as well, depending on the stakeholder, line locators are going to blame the operators. Operators are going to blame so-and-so. They're going to blame yes. So the question is, tell me what your responsibility is. So when I can tell them, hey, I was an excavator, I was a contractor, I understand. So let's talk. So that has helped.
You've been there, done that, and you've walked that same path in their shoes. So got you. Was there something that happened in your career, something you'd seen that has impacted you, that has really caused you to be so passionate about? I know you're not just doing this for a paycheck. So, I mean, you have a desire to serve and help others. Is there something that happened in your career that you're like, hey?
So once upon a time, I was going to be a petroleum engineer. During that course, we visited a lot of locations, and just my family, my grandfather, my uncles, all of that, always involved in the industry, this type of industry. So I was familiar with locations and with pump jacks and everything. One day I was out on location and I saw an incident, and unfortunately he was okay, but it really got me to thinking. I saw someone fall off a scaffold.
Hmm.
That same day,
Scary.
I saw a near collapse in a trench.
Mm.
So those things really changed everything from petroleum engineer to finding out why these things weren't working, why dirt was collapsing, why things were happening, why that trench was, I'm sorry, why that scaffold wasn't stable, why did it fall, those type of things.
Mhm.
So it took one day and two incidences to change my whole life.
Well, I think it's amazing, and thank you for sharing that, Keitha. You know, I think as we get older, we all look back in our lives and the legacy we leave behind, right? What's the impact that we've made on this planet? And if you look at the ability to help save people's lives and what you do with your background in safety and now in damage prevention, you know, that's legacy right there.
Mm.
So it's interesting to take a shift from petroleum engineer to a safety focus, because I know engineers make a heck of a lot more money than we do. But
Thank you very much.
you know,
Yes.
I'm not going to argue about impact. But thank you,
It was
Keitha.
just life changing. It was just those things that you thought, hey, I'm going to say something. I'm going to stand up. I'm going to try and make a difference in someone's
Mhm.
life.
There you
And
go.
someone mentioned the Spanish speaking. In one of those incidences, he only spoke Spanish.
Wow.
Mm.
And I was able to jump in and help translate a few things. So that is a need. And that was 25 years ago, 28 years ago. It's been a long time, but it's never left me. So
Yeah.
See, that's powerful. Powerful. Brother MG, what is it that makes you passionate about what you do?
Well, similar story. I've had this role now for 3 years. So one of the times when I was still green in the position, I went up to Tulsa. A safety director asked me to come up and do a presentation and talk about the importance of tolerance zone and understanding the importance of not using heavy equipment around facilities and stuff like that. So I get up there and I have a conversation, and I'm not going to give the elaborate version of the story today because it's been on podcasts and stuff like that. But to fast forward, I realized as I was telling the story, this the room shifted, like there was a change in the way that people were hearing me. And so the safety director asked if he could talk with me after the presentation, and I said, of course. Usually that means free food. And so I said yes, and the safety director comes up to me and he tells me he's going to talk to a crew of 5 people real quick. And so I'm like, okay. So I'm breaking down my laptop when I heard him say that the reason that he invited me up there for this presentation is because I lost a coworker.
Sad.
And to this day, I don't know if they lost that coworker because he was doing something really stupid and got fired on the spot. I don't know if he got injured and wasn't able to come back to work, or if it was a death. And so, regardless of the reason, it made me realize that I'm not always going to be in front of this. Sometimes I'm going to be coming because as a reaction to this, and that was when it kind of changed for me. I mean, I already had my presentation styles. I already had the ability to lead a group and educate, but to now know, hey, wait a second, I'm going to do everything I can to be in front of these incidences, in front of these problems that occur out there in construction, and hopefully save lives. I never want to hear that phrase again. MG's here because we lost a coworker. I never want to hear that again. And that's
Sure.
when the passion turned. Before I do want to find out a little bit more about your passion, Jason. But before, because we were talking about damage prevention as a whole just a
Yeah.
little while ago. There's a comment here about do we portray damage prevention almost too laxed, or why do we only use like cartoons and not like the shock and awe method of showing what could happen out there? And
Mhm.
I think that's also an interesting topic, and I don't want to lose that. So, Jason, please go ahead and tell us about your passion and where that came from and your role with OGA and your part of damage prevention. But I
Yeah,
do want
well,
to dive into that. Okay.
into the shock and awe type of thing.
Yeah.
Um, I had a little background noise here. We talk about legacy and impact, and people ask me what I do for a living, and selling line locators doesn't always sound so cool, but it was really a mindset shift for me years ago, especially right before COVID. I mean, you think about everybody is working from home, or well, not all the people we work with. A lot of people are working from home, or kids are working virtual or going to school virtually. Um, but all the people we work with are still making things happen, right? And you talk about impact, legacy, and people ask what I do for a living. I say I equip and I train the unseen, unsung superheroes of this world. I
Mm.
usually get this kind of puppy dog, huh? What are you talking about? It sounds cool, right? But if you really think about it, the people we work with, people we serve, the excavators, the line locators, the asset owners, these people have the opportunity to be superheroes, in their own right every day with what they do. Um, and realizing the impact that we have on those people's lives and being proactive instead of reactive in dealing with situations like you mentioned, MG, proactive in public awareness communications to make sure that people understand how to properly fill out a one call ticket, whether you're in Oklahoma or in Texas, um,
Or
making sure that,
Alaska.
or Alaska or wherever you are. And also making sure that they understand the different protocols and laws in each area, being proactive and understanding whatever equipment they have, and how to best use it, those types of things. Something stuck out to me, why a story I share all the time when I do training classes of the importance of being proactive instead of being reactive in this type of industry is down in Fort Worth, Texas. I was at a meeting June 6, 2010. That same day in Cleburne, there was a line strike. Guy hit a 36-inch high pressure natural gas pipeline and it exploded and threw his body 200 some odd feet. I mean, it's devastating. Person didn't survive. Well, I was newer with green equipment at that time. And again, 2010, that's what, 12 years ago? Coming to find out that contractor was based in Northeast Oklahoma. And I went up, had a conversation with their safety director and VP of operations and offered free training for these people. And wasn't there to sell them equipment. I mean, I pay my bills by selling equipment, but I wanted to offer them some free training to make sure their people were safe. The both of them were excited about it. I said, well, let's get something on the calendar. And so we don't have any equipment. I said, well, here's some information on mine. I'll get you the information on the others as well. But at the end of the day, let me help you with training. Long story short, because I've shared this with other podcasts, and this one really wants all the details, they can reach out to me directly. Over the course of 18 months, the safety director leaves the company, the VP of operations leaves the company, and I have two conversations with the owner, CEO of that company. And I'm not trying to throw shade because this person has since passed away, and I don't believe their business is still open. But the last conversation I had was, man, I can't do any better than free for you. When you're ready to make some kind of investment in safety and damage prevention, be right there to make that same investment of my time and knowledge to help your people. Make sure they understand whatever they're using, whether you spend a penny with me or not. And the fact I never heard from that person, even though he lost someone who had been with this company for a number of years, a foreman who had 7 kids, and that's 12 years ago. So here we are talking before our webinar here about what everybody's been doing for the summer. Keita talking about 4th of July with her 4 kids, and me talking about going to Florida with my kids, and 12 years. That's 12 years of summer vacations without dad. 12 years of Thanksgiving's going to be coming up. I think Hobby Lobby's got their decorations up right already for it, or Halloween. Dad's not around. You know, 12 years of Christmas, dad's not around. 12 years of birthdays, dad's not around. And to think about that as a father of children, that breaks my heart. So if I could have an impact on that and make sure someone gets home to their families and their loved ones, even by offering some free training, then I'm doing the right thing. And that's where my legacy falls.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we can have an impact on the industry. So that's why I become so passionate about what I do. So
Yeah, and that's why when we were putting together the virtual safety day and reaching out and trying to figure out who and how we're going to discuss these things, I knew that in our conversations, whether it's been one of our podcasts or shared trainings, I know that these 3 that are on this webinar right now are some of the most passionate people I know when it comes to damage prevention, because we all have that story where it just clicked,
yeah.
where we just went from having a
Oh,
job, telling some stories to I've been impacted. I know that I can be out there and save lives.
that's
So one thing that comes up is, and Doug, asked a question about the shock and awe stuff, and it's been brought up before. I understand that we are in a society that they need to see a huge explosion or an electric issue or that makes people realize just how dangerous some of these utilities are to work around. And I want to dive into this because this is something that I've thought about on my end because I do want to stress the importance of working safely around these utilities and the respect that we should have for electricity, for oil and gas, for even water. I mean, anything could cause problems, anything could impact the environment or cause injury or worse. So I do want to stress the amount of respect that we should have. But I'd also, just as someone who represents these member companies when I go out and speak, I don't want people to also have this irrational fear of that really safe mode of transportation when it comes to oil and gas. I don't want
Yes.
them to have this fear that every 10 seconds a pipeline is going to blow up and all this happens, right? So I think we have a line that we need to watch where these utilities are safe if they're respected. And so I think that is a lot of the reasons why, yeah, maybe we do cartoon a little bit about damages. We'd much rather show you that your football game is going to be missed because someone hit the cable than to show you a house exploding or someone dying. And it's not to disparage those actual and real things that could happen. Um, I just think, from my standpoint, I don't want my member companies to have a community or a state or a possible stakeholder shy away from that utility or from that service. So I get the question, and I think there is a line that we have to toe to make sure that we're presenting respect and not fear.
I agree completely with MG. We all mitigate risks and all kinds of things in our lives, and that's ultimately what we're doing. Did you have fries with your hamburger at lunch today, or did you have a side salad? That's mitigating
Right.
risk. Are you properly following, one call ticket procedures? Are you properly following your own company's procedures and accurately marketing your lines or not? Doug, to an extent, I agree with you with that shock and awe. I mean, we talked in years past, about the human element and making sure people are aware of that. And that's in the forefront of the mind. The impact that you have on people's lives in this, in properly digging or improperly digging and that impact. And I think it'd be like any kind of tragedy, unfortunately. But this is something we have much more control over, right? We have, and what we can all do, people in this webinar, people who are in this industry, is again, be proactive in communication and reaching out to the contractors and the people who, like you say, MG, anybody who's got a shovel. If you go over to Europe and UK, if you've got a shovel, you got a line locator. That's how they do things there. If you want to have a shovel, you're gonna have a line locator. So
Well,
go ahead, Keitha, what do you have?
oh, if I could, I'm sorry. If I could add to that, yes, you see a lot of the cartoons or, the simple message. Well, because 811 is a simple message. And we want to educate those that are very young. We want to start there. We know if we can get, 811 into their thoughts, their everyday thoughts, we would want, and I know the panelists here, and I think they would agree, I'm pretty sure they would agree, they want 811 to be in everyone's mind the way 911 is. So
Well said.
we start with the young, but as adults and as industry, we know how important and how deep that is, to teach that message. It's not just 811. No, 811 is life and death. And, I'm kind of with Doug. Remember, pipeliner here, come from the pipeline. So hell and brimstone, woo, I love that. But I can't teach that to everyone. You have to know your crowd. You have to know how to deliver that. And once upon a time, there was a saying long ago, this is going to age me. Do you remember that saying about gas? Gas is good. Gas is good. Gas is good. And gas is safe. And yes, I loved what you said, MG, about protecting those lines, respecting those lines, and learning how to work. That is our passion. That is what we want to get across. You know, we want that message to be just as important as 911. So that's what I'll add to that.
Absolutely. No, these are great, great conversation. Um, we have about 10 minutes left, so I'm going to kind of take the next question, Jason. I'm going to
Sure.
talk about some of the things that we're doing accomplishments wise. And Keith, I know that right now leading women of damage prevention is something that you're passionate about. I'm a proud member of it as well. I want to help
Yes.
support you guys, you gals. Listen to me
Mhm.
as much as possible. So, can you tell us a little bit about that organization, and then if there's any interest in joining it, how they can do so?
Absolutely. So, Texas, you know, Texas 811 has a sister company. We do a lot of our fundraising, we do a lot of meetings, and it's called the Damage Prevention Council of Texas. And you can go to that website. But let me talk a little bit about Leading Women just because we're short on time. So, our mission with Leading Women is to influence and encourage all women in the damage prevention industry to be bold, to be confident, and to be brilliant. And that's through collaboration, empowerment, and networking. So, what are we? We're a social enterprise, and we are designed for the advancement and discovery for all women who have an interest in the protection of underground infrastructure. So, you know, what is it that you do? If you're in this industry, you're part of damage prevention. And so we really want to be there to support you and encourage you. Let's face it, we're in a male dominated industry, and that's okay. I've been in it a very long time and have loved every minute of it. Some women have struggled. So this group is for all women, and we do invite them in. In fact, we're going to change our logo one day. I keep telling MG it's going to be Leading Women of Damage Prevention with a little subtitle, and dudes too. You
Exactly.
know, we want you to be part of that. We want you to join us. We have webinars, we have meetings, um, we have different things going on all the time, newsletters, and it's just there to encourage you. Men, let me encourage you, if you work with any females, which I know you do, encourage them to join. And I'll add that to our chat here in a minute, a link, so they can just log in and go check it out.
Awesome. Um, Jason, are there any organizations or anything that you want to kind of share with us that?
Yeah, real quick. Again, I'm blessed to participate in a lot of different industry organizations across both Oklahoma and Arkansas. From the Okie 811 group to the Arkansas 811 group to um, different Oklahoma Rural Water Association, MISO, but the Oklahoma Gas Association is one that I've been sitting on the board for 10 years now. And I am really excited that here in a little over a month, they're having a live annual conference. I appreciate the webinar format I do, but I am about zoomed out myself. And then
Right.
those of you who know me, I'm hugging you and shaking your hand when I see you at this point in my life because I've not seen you as much as I wanted to see you over the last 3 years. So I want to say hey to my brother Clayton, always good to hopefully connect with you here sometime soon. And thank you. Thank you. The OGA annual conference is going to be a great opportunity for some education. We've got some really solid speakers. If you're not a member, it's okgas.net, I believe. God, I'm terrible, but you can message me directly and I can get you in contact with that. We have an amazing communications director, Jeff Kaufman, who helps organize all that. We are also going to do a first ever OGA scholarship motorcycle ride. We're in the process of picking a date late September, and you can check out our website for that as well. So
Very cool. And yeah, and if you Google Oklahoma Gas Association, you'll also find it. If that website wasn't it, the Oklahoma Gas Association will definitely pull it up for you. Yeah, we have some things coming up. Keith and I work for A11 centers, and the holiday for A11 centers is August 11th. I know Keith will be part of a big safety day event in Texas, and I have a couple of things going on that week as well. This is where I finally get to talk about the beer. Okie 811 is doing beer for the second year in a row. Last year we uh, brewed and distributed a beer called A11 Pilsner. That was a hit. It did really well. This year we decided to do even more beer. We are making a pineapple Mexican lager. I'm really excited about it. And so here in Oklahoma, if you can attend our pipeliners meeting, Oklahoma City Pipeliners on August 11th, they'll be released there, and then a public event on Friday, August 12th at the brewery called Cross Timbers in Oklahoma City. So some opportunities for you to see that. We are doing quite a few events around the state all through the month of August. August 11th is just one day of a full day, a full month of promoting 811 centers, and whether it's here just in Oklahoma or promoting our partners with Texas, Kansas, Arkansas, those who border us, so that we can help out to promote this. Because like Doug mentioned, I mean, it would be great if at one time there's this slogan that's so well known, like only you can prevent forest fires, or all these things associated with 811. Right now, I mean, right now, 811 before you dig is pretty much all we got, and we are going to do everything we can to promote that and get that information out to everybody else. Um, so those are a couple things that I was looking forward to. If you can, if you have assets in both states or you work in both states, definitely go to Texas's website as well, Texas 811, and you'll be able to see what events they have coming up as well. And then, of course, ours. I'm going to have a shameless plug here for our information. So, first of all, if you have any questions, you can always shoot me an email. If you have questions for Jason or Keith or myself, don't have to memorize our names today. You can just remember the word education at oka11.org. And then the things that I want to remind you about is I'm trying to make it as easy as possible to communicate with us and follow us. And so we have our podcast. You can type in Digging Deep OK811 and it'll pop up on Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Our YouTube channel is growing and growing. We back when I took that screenshot, we had 17 subscribers. We're now well over 50. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but we're getting there. Once we get to 100, we get to change our URL. So I know that's some nerdy stuff, but we would love to get to 100 soon. And then, of course, our website, where you can keep track of what we're doing events wise. We have A11 Day. We have another safety day in Tulsa next month. We have the state fair coming up. So a lot of opportunities for you and your crews to connect with us. So, Jason, let's have a round of final words that we want to share with our attendees. And while we do that, I'm going to be doing some drawing here on my end
I was
to
going to say,
determine.
I believe it is Amazon Prime time
It
today,
is.
Monday.
something along
So,
those lines. But let's
yeah.
start with Ms. Keitha. You know, is there any final words of wisdom or final things you'd like to share with the group?
Sure. Remember, 811 is important, and it's a life and death situation. And that is something that you, as a member of this industry, need to remind your folks. It is that important. Um, it's not something that we take lightly, obviously, and we're hoping to ignite a little bit of fire in you, so that you get the same passion that we have, because it is about saving lives and protecting infrastructure.
Right.
So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Keitha. Great for you. MG, do you want to impart anything or you want to keep doing the drawing?
I'm gonna work on the drawing. How about you go ahead and share yours, and then
I
I'll
tell you,
do mine and the drawing.
the drawing last. Fantastic. Thank you again for allowing me to participate in today's webinar. I've been asked what are the key components of a successful damage prevention program, and I still firmly believe it revolves around three things: communication being number one, two being having the right equipment, the right tool for the job, and three, making sure your people are properly trained. And it all starts with communication, and it all starts with you as an individual in the industry and the impact that you have. And don't ever, ever minimize your ability to have the impact, because you would be amazed at how brightly you can impact this industry just in your own behaviors and how you communicate with others and how you educate others.
That is awesome. Yeah, I agree. This roundtable was to kind of shine some light on how three people from three different roles and three different backgrounds collaborate and do everything we can because of this passion we have for saving lives and protecting our infrastructure. And I hope that we accomplish that today. If you have any questions or feedback on what else you can do to help with damage prevention, let us know. Like we said numerous times, there's not just one way to do anything. We are here to promote all this, whether it's through a beer or an event or a webinar or a podcast or what have you. So please reach out to your state's 811 centers. I know that we love collaborating with any stakeholder. We're going to do what we can to make those events successful. I think everybody who has stuck through all four sessions, there's quite a few of you that did, so that was awesome. Thank you for being virtually with us all day. And if you do have anything that you want to reach out to us about, just shoot me an email, education@ok11.org. So without further ado,
Drum roll.
I know. So we have a total of 26 attendees that have been joining us for this presentation. I did a random number generator, and now I have the winner. And Jason, you said his last name earlier, so I'm going to make sure that I'm pronouncing it right. Roger Eichelberger.
Eckelberger. Oh my goodness.
Eichelberger. Yeah.
Eckelberger, yes.
Yeah, so Roger with Prior Creek, you have won this Amazon Prime card or Amazon card, so I'll be able to send these out here within an hour. I'll jump on Amazon and get those out to our four winners that we've had today. I again appreciate all of you and your attention that you've given us, and just an opportunity to share our stories and why we do what we do. I thank you once again, because I can't say thank you enough. And then I appreciate everything you do to keep Oklahoma safe. So with that, have a wonderful day, and we will close out of here. See you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.